Today is our Freedom Day celebrations. As you know, our democracy turned 18 today, and we are there for celebrating this vibrant and maturing democracy. In fact, this is the centennial year for the ANC, which actually makes the ANC the oldest liberation movement on the African continent. And as the ruling party, we do recognize that and we celebrate that because the ANC has played a critical role in the emancipation of our people and in terms of fostering democracy in South Africa. Every year we celebrate it in this way, and of course, as we mentioned earlier, our president also bestowed some awards to some of the former anti-apartheid stalwarts, such as Randall Robinson. And we believe that that is another way of recognizing those who have contributed quite tremendously towards the liberation of South Africa. I think this day, in a lot of ways, kindly reminds us of our humble beginnings 18 years ago, and it further fortifies us as we try to gallantly move forward and make sure that we develop our country in a sustainable manner and that we address any challenges that may be facing us towards eradicating any challenges and making sure that our citizens live a better life. We have quite a lot of special guests that are from here. As you saw, we had one of our ambassador at large for climate change, Ambassador Mkakato Diseko, who actually gave the keynote today. We have our permanent representative from the United Nations, Ambassador Sangu. We have the Vice Chancellor of the University of Johannesburg, Aaron van Rensburg, and a lot of other dignitaries. Well, there were really 4 key messages that we were sending out. Firstly, to say that we appreciate the partnerships that are mutually beneficial that we have formed with the rest of the world, and we believe that those are very profound. Secondly, to say that we are ready for business as South Africa, that those who want to do business in the country in terms of investments and trade should really look forward towards engaging South Africa. Thirdly, to say that South Africa as a tourism destination has also come to the fore, and therefore our market is ready to attract the necessary tourists, and we have a lot to offer both culturally, from a business perspective, and in other forms. It is indeed a very beautiful country. And fourthly, to continue to cultivate new relationships with people that we believe can assist us as we move forward from an African perspective in terms of driving the African agenda and creating friends with those who can see Africa coming to the fore in the 21st century.
You know, South African Freedom Day is a very special day for all South Africans. For those of us who were in exile and were part of the struggle for freedom and democracy, it's especially important because we know there are many South Africans who laid down their lives to make this day possible. South Africans who were in exile, South Africans who were in the underground, South Africans who served time on Robben Island. All South Africans made a contribution in one way or another. Significance of this day is that it contributes towards the building of a nation, because we know when in 1990 there were the first talks, CODESA itself, it was clearly with a view that we've got to build a future that would be one that is non-racial, that's built on the equality of all people, and one that would take into account our past but build a special future that would bring all South Africans together to ensure that we have a better life for those who are yet to be born. And I think we're working towards that. We've not fully achieved it, but all South Africans can contribute to make that difference, and we must do that now.
Wow. And I know that you're also a former minister in the South African government. And was this after Mandela or in the Mandela administration?
I was a cabinet minister and had the great privilege to be one, both during the administration of President Nelson Mandela. I started out as Deputy Minister for Welfare and Population Development in 1999. I became Minister for Welfare and Population Development in 1996. And I served in 2 consecutive cabinets as Minister for Public Service and Administration. And I think it was an incredible privilege to do so and to be in that position, because I was there as part of a collective to serve the peoples of South Africa and to build and in a humble way contribute to laying the foundations towards a democratic future. South Africa's gone an incredibly long way because we come from a past where diversity was never appreciated. We come from a past where there was great inequalities in our society, and we look towards building a common future. At this point in time, we know that the South African society is one that thrives on the diversity of its people. And if we look at 2010 and the 2010 World Cup, we saw South Africans coming together from all backgrounds, hues, colors, diversity, languages, religions and all, as South Africans and as Africans to support the World Cup. We've seen electrification of parts of the country that had never seen electrification. We've seen potable water for people. But we need to take it further because the extent of inequality in South African society requires a lot more to be done to take that future forward. But what is most important is the need for South Africans to defend its constitution, our constitution, a constitution that talks about the dignity of all people, the equality of people, the right for voice, the right to justice and all, and we need to make that a reality. But the reality is not only about civil and political rights, it's also about socio-economic rights. And we need to ensure that inequalities is overcome in our society. So a lot to be done, but there's a wonderful future ahead of us because we will make it happen.
Well, it's a day that has tremendous significance for South Africans, as it was the beginning of the birth of our democracy, our freedom after a long, hard-fought struggle. It means so many things to so many people, the realization of dreams and beliefs of thousands of South Africans, millions of South Africans, and the sacrifices that were made by thousands of South Africans, not only in South Africa itself, but internationally and around the world.
Well, it began with how my parents viewed the world. They had their freedoms limited, and being a young person in South Africa, you realize that since there once was a time when our freedoms were limited, we should express ourselves in the most artistic, creative, and culturally sensitive manner possible, which is why I put emphasis on cultural diversity in the way I approach my nonprofits. It's beyond going and saying hello to people, but saying hello, how are you, may I help you, and where are you from? Understanding people as human beings and all as equal. That's why when I first came up with these projects, I saw the benefits of understanding perspective in an international manner. Because by understanding perspective in an international manner, you understand that you can learn and grow from simply just talking to someone. Talking to someone that is not from the same background as you, you gain something each word by word. And what I've been trying to do is allow being an international student very easy and accessible to everyone, so that everyone can experience the freedoms that we have been lucky enough to be bestowed upon us, thanks to the efforts of our parents. So for me, it's beyond just being one person in a million. It's about being one person that makes a difference, one person that catalyzes, that becomes a catalyst for change.
I think that Mandela, took a good line in not sort of taking a total communist or socialist line. If you nationalize everything, you're going to scare away all the big business, and then the South African economy will suffer. So I think you have to walk a careful path between the capitalist system and the redistribution of wealth. And so I think nationalizing mines won't necessarily help the situation right at the moment. That, from what I know of the situation.
It's a beautiful show of beautiful people and beautiful food and beautiful music.
And as somebody not from South Africa, what do you feel? What brought you over here?
It's funny, I just played at the Cape Town Festival a few weeks ago, and it was my first time to South Africa. And in that time I met a lot of beautiful musicians from South Africa, and that's what brings me here. And just going there, I've never seen such a beautiful and diverse place in my life. And I'm from New York, and I thought, New York was diverse. Cape Town is so diverse and so beautiful.
It's great to be here because it's so nice to meet new South Africans, and to see what people are doing and how South Africa is contributing to the United States and the cultural exchange. So I'm really very proud to be South African because South Africans are so talented. I was just looking at the women, their clothing is just amazing.
It means freedom because we were free on those days.
Okay.
No, it means a lot to me, especially because our parents had suffered a lot. So it's time for us to benefit,
Right. And you?
Well, this day means a lot to me. It brought us a lot of opportunities, and we are free today, and we are able to vote. We are happy. That is why we are celebrating.
And you?
South Africa's Freedom Day means that the world can be free. If everybody just follows the example of South Africa, all of us can be free.